Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today I'm going to be working on a classic reel. This is a Shimano reel. It's the Shimano B-Mag 1001. The odd number meaning that it is a left-handed crank reel. This is a classic. It's a mag controlled reel, graphite frame, and well, it doesn't spin very well despite all of the adjustments. Doesn't spin well, and so we're going to try and do an upgrade here. In addition to the service, we're going to use the Boca bearing hybrid ceramic bearings. We're going to test to see if this makes a difference. This is part of my series in terms of comparing before and after using the factory standard bearings, or the bearings that came in the reel, to an upgrade to ceramics, and trying to make a determination as to the difference that it makes. And well, why would you want to do that? Well, we did a video on that separately, but the ceramic hybrids have less resistance. They don't rust. They're not subject to corrosion. They do spin faster and better as a result. And typically because of that, you'll never have to change the bearings again. Well, we have a series of bearings in this reel, so we'll show you how that works, how to fix that, and how to make it run for a long time to come. Well, we've started to remove the exterior pieces. This one's got a lot of access to it. It's the traditional Phillips head screwdriver. To remove it, it's a #1 screwdriver. And while I'm taking off the side plate now, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel if you like the art of reel repair, if you like to learn what's new in the fishing industry, if you like to understand more about all types of reels, how they're used, where they were made, when they were made, what the benefits and drawbacks of each are, then I would encourage you to subscribe. And if you do subscribe, use that notification button. That notification button will let you know when I'm posting videos. And well, you can see if that's something that you would like to learn more about. Okay, well, there's 4 screws that hold that side plate on. I think I've got them loosened now. You always wind up with one that you didn't quite get out. And this one pulls straight out and back. Now, this is a good time that I like to remind people to take pictures as you're working on your fishing reels at critical junctures in the assembly or disassembly. Take the time to get some photo ops here, if you will. Understand exactly what pieces came from where by taking that picture. That way, when you go to reinstall later, if you get stumped, if you forget, if you had to put the project down for a little while, walk away and then come back, well, you're going to remember that you took the pictures, and that's going to be the reminder that you're going to need to make it work correctly. And this is a good example of that. There's a lot of moving parts in here, and you want to know where those parts are and, well, where they come from, how they go back together again. All right, we've removed the top. The first 2 things I like to do is take those springs off because they tend to shoot. Then we have a spacer, a small washer, spacer, and a tension washer on the main gear. We're going to bring that up and out now. Good place again to take the pictures. We have a anti-reverse that's a finger drive anti-reverse. So I'm going to take that off. Right now I'm a little bit curious because I'm not seeing the post that rides to. Let's see if that's in the back of the case. Yeah, that's in the back of the case here. This post can come out. Thank goodness, because if you lose these pieces, it's going to be tough to reinstall. That post is going to sit here like that. Your anti-reverse is going to go on top of that. Well, we're after the bearings. This is the first bearing. And this one can get pushed through and out. I'm just going to do a quick sizing there, make sure it's the right package. It is. We will replace that. That's the main gear bearing. And then on this one, just make sure that as you go about taking your pieces and parts off, that you checked. We have 2 drag washers in here. And these are stuck together, which is one of the reasons why you want to do the maintenance on these fishing reels. Now, these are kind of a cloth or a fabric on the one side. It's more like a rubber or a leather on the back side. Be careful when you remove them. You don't want to break them. But you do need to make sure that they are clean, not torn, and free of debris. Well, we're going to go clean this now. I'm just going to take a cotton swab, clean off the inner side, check to make sure that there are no rough spots that are going to tear up the drag washers, and then we can reset. Now this one's a hard washer, probably doesn't need lubrication. We're going to use a drag grease to do that though. I'm going to put a little bit of drag grease on there. You notice my hand is gloved. I use that gloved hand well as a tool sometimes. That's exactly what we're doing here. Then on this one, it's a cloth washer. Again, you want to make sure that you work that in. The purpose of a drag grease is to keep the washers flexible so that they don't dry out and split. These are permeable, so you can do that. Sometimes you're going to find that you have a plastic or a Teflon washer. Well, they're not permeable, so you don't really need to worry about putting the greases on there. The greases aren't intended to be for slip or anything at all. Okay, we're just trying to get that last piece in there. And I'm going to set this washer assembly aside at the moment because I do want to go up and take care of the pinion gear as well. So when I take my pieces and parts off, for the most, they go into a parts tray. Put the side plate in there as well. And that parts tray does help me to know that there are centralized parts that I don't need to wrestle with in terms of trying to get them. Okay, I'm going to remove the jack and the pinion gear next. I'm going to put a cloth down here. I like to put the cloth down to keep the dirt and debris off of my bench. Notice how your setup is on your anti-reverse dog. You have the click ratchet, which is going to knock your free spool back. You have your anti-reverse dog, which is a finger dog. And you have a spacer washer there so that the main gear doesn't press down on the fingers of that dog. You have that spacer washer that goes like that. Put that assembly into that parts tray as well. You want to remove your pinion gear. And on your yoke, you're going to notice that you have two sides to this. You have a side that's got a forward collar on it and a big indent on the back. You have a side, the forward collar, that has two ramps on it. That faces in. That's to accept the legs of the jack. And then check your pinion gear. If you find that there's any dirt on there, get a brush, pull it through, make sure that the teeth are clean, and check the teeth to make sure that they're uniform, that they're not rippled or cracked or broken in any way. You would notice that in the performance of your reel. You would get a click-clack or some kind of a skip going on. But once you're comfortable that that's all good, take the ramp side forward, and on your pinion gear you have a side that's got an indent with a ring on it. That faces in as well. That's going to grab the spool. Well, we can reassemble this side. I'm just going to put a light shot of some penetrating oil in here. Looks like there's just a little bit of film going on in here. It's hard to tell because this reel's got UV damage on it. So it's hard to see if it's dirt or if it's just simply an issue with the UV damage. Now if your jack is working fine, which it is, and you see no evidence of dirt and debris, you do not need to pull that off for a routine service. If you did, of course, there is a screw here that will remove that, and there's a return spring over here that you would need to put back on. And as I say that, whoever was in the reel the last time didn't put it back on. That belongs on this post here. So let's go put that back on. You know, when you don't know where reels come from, this one was kind of this was a flea market find. We're going to put that back on. And we have the post here. Most of the time you can compress up and in with hand strength on this one. You may need to adjust that last little hole there. Now that should spring back easier. Continuing them, we're going to put the yoke on now. Find the ramps, that goes in, as does the slotted spot of the spool. Then get the post for your anti-reverse dog. That goes in the hole there. We can bring the anti-reverse assembly up and over. And this is a friction-driven assembly. I'm going to make sure that it seats on the rectangle on your gear shaft on the post for your anti-reverse dog. When you're cranking, everything is fine. You'll see that it pulls off. When you go to backpedal, you'll notice it pulls in to stop that reel. Put the spacer on next. Then we can grab the main gear assembly. I'll make sure to put some grease on this. We're going to use fishing reel grease. I only recommend using fishing reel grease when you service your reels. Don't use the household greases or automotive greases or things like that. These are specifically designed for marine environments. They're not very expensive, so take the time and the effort to go get the greases and the oils. Make sure that that gets seated down. We're going to bring our cap back. Then we're going to bring in the flat washer, the sleeve spacer, the tension washer. Now we can go into the bearing pack and get the large bearing for the gear shaft. Now I ordered this as the bearing kit. We just want to check quickly, make sure that the diameters are the same. When you order the bearing kits, you want to make sure that your inside diameter, your outside diameter, and the height of the bearings are all the same. And that's how you order it. It's the IO or ID. It's the OD, and it's the width or height. All right, that brings us right back to where we started with this side plate. I'm going to bring the... Now this, you just need to make sure that everything's lined up here. Wrong side. Line it up. Bring it over and down. Remember, you have a couple of things going on here. The one that needs to be the one that you wrestle with is that anti-reverse prong. And I can see it's just a little bit off here. Just need to raise that a little bit to make sure that it gets into that hole. There you go. Now we're in. And let's just tighten down the screws. Now most of the time you can take those screws out. These just seem to want to stay stuck in there, so I left them in. All right. Alternate the way that you're going with these. Next up then is to remove the non-gear side plates so that we can get to the spool and change out the spool bearings. Same idea. We have a lot of Phillips head screws in this one. Now as case design developed over time, they started to go to these swing side plates on the non-gear side with a clasp or some kind of a mechanism to hold and release the non-gear side plate. I think it was done more for aesthetics than anything else, but there's nothing wrong with having good old-fashioned screws holding that case on. Well, if you have any questions on this reel or any reel, if you like to leave those questions in the comment section, I will try to answer those for you. It doesn't have to be on this one, but maybe you want to know more about the types of reels, when they were made, how they were used, etc. I'll be happy to do that for you. Okay, we're going to remove that. Next up, we're going to remove the mag. There's a little tension adjuster there. And here's that spool. And right now we're having a little bit of difficulty getting the spool out, because the line is trapping the removal. So I'm going to shut it off for a moment here. We'll come back to this and make sure that we can get this out. I just went to extremes. We had a backlash situation in this reel preventing me from getting the spool out, so I just took all the line off. It needs to be replaced anyway. Let's pull this then. Okay, well now I'm going to get excited, because these are plastic bushings, they're not bearings. So doing an upgrade with this, with plastic bushings, replacing that with hybrid ceramics, wow. So you can see this is your plastic bushing. I'm going to pull that off to the side. I should have a comparable plastic bushing in here. I don't know if that one's going to come straight out or if I need to remove the clip. Looks like I need to remove the clip. This is a snap ring that's holding that on. Alright, needed to locate the right tool. This is a snap ring. You need to expand it to open up the inner. They make two. They make one to pull in, one to pull out. This is the one to pull out. You can pull that up and out. Notice it, the assembly underneath here now. You have the snap ring, the shield, you have a spring. We're going to leave that spring attached if we can. And then you have the bushing underneath. That bushing will simply push out and caught in the spring there. And now we can line up the replacement bearings for those bushings. And that one belongs in the case here. Let's go grab the two that are the replacements. This is the smaller size that came out of the back. Just line it up, put it in. Perfect fit. Let's reset that assembly then. We have our spring, which we left in place. The shield we want to push down. Compress that in and bring the shield in on top of that. Then we can set our snap ring. Again, you're going to want to expand it, then let the clip come back in after you've cleared the little shoulder. Just check that you're in the groove. We are. Okay. Doesn't hurt to double check. And that's your assembly for your back end. Okay, time to install the other bearing. Goes in the front case. And line it up. Snap it in. And ceramic bearings do not get oiled. Actually, oil will slow down the performance of that bearing. And of course, we're replacing bushings with bearings here. So just a side note in terms of maintenance. You can put a light coating of grease onto the shaft on both sides. Be careful, that's your magnetic plate on the back. Let's bring the spool in. We can take our bearing assembly, our mag assembly. Make sure that gets loaded. We have our wheel you need to make sure seated. And you have that little tension spring that goes on before you can close the case up. Just like the front case, make sure that when you do this that it seats nice and easy and firm. When you have a nice tight seam, go ahead and get your screws that are going to hold this down. And if I forgot to mention, there is one screw here that is a short screw. It goes in the base of the case. That one's threaded because that one goes into the crossbar in the reel seat. Okay, two more. We've certainly had enough tools out here. Finding the right one. I like to keep my tools convenient, close at hand, because when you're in the middle of working a project, if you need to stop and go find the tool, sometimes you can put the project down, then you lose track of it. All right, make sure that this last one gets tightened up. Very good. Okay, time to reassemble the case then. We're all set. We just need to put our star adjuster on. Remember, this is a left-handed reel, so it's turning in a counterclockwise manner. So everything you do when you're servicing a left-handed reel is kind of bring it around the other way. Oh my gosh, it's just such a nice, easy, smooth turn. There's one thing we forgot to do, so let's go do that right away. We're going to take a moment here to service the line guide pawl. That usually gets a lot of dirt on it. You can see the dirt right on the case here, how it's just accumulated. That's because it's open to the water and debris can fill in there pretty quickly. So you want to make sure that your line guide and your pawl is cleaned with each service. The pawl is in the carrier. You can use a little pick. You've seen me use that before. There's a washer, and then there's a line guide pawl underneath that you can pull out. And typical of what I expected to see, there's a lot of dirt and debris on the shoulders, so you want to clean that all off. You can see how it accumulates. And that's just from fishing, the line, the water, and the like. All of that gets in there. Well, when it gets in there, it makes it very difficult for that pawl to make the turn and come back. So you just want to clean it all off. Get a nice shiny cylinder again. And then what you want to check as well, if this had a lot of dirt on it, then you want to clean it. The easiest way to clean it is to take a paper towel and just rotate your reel. Holding firm on the paper towel, rotating the reel will take the dirt off of it. Now again, there's not a lot of dirt there, but if there was dirt, that's the way to clean the worm gear. And I don't put grease on worm gears because grease will hold any of that dirt that, well, you just saw me take off of that pawl. All right, the pawl goes into the cavity. Sometimes these are tight working conditions and my fingers don't fit, so use a little assist from our micro pliers. Push down on that and then make sure that it seats. And as you notice, there was that little washer that's going to go on top. That's a little spacer, and it also makes it easier to turn inside that cap. I'm going to kind of rotate that over to the side here, so again I have a chance to put that cap on. Try and lock that in with this screw starter if I can. Be very careful when you put these caps back on. Shimano has a series of reels out there that have these little bump outs on them. They're not flush bottoms. And you need to make sure that the cap is going on square. Very easy to get this started on an angle. Then you wind up either stripping the, there we go, stripping the cap or breaking off one of those little studs, or, well, all kinds of bad things can happen there. All right, once that's done, then we have the tension washer or spring. We have our handle. Again, this is a left-handed reel. I believe this is going to come in a counterclockwise manner. Once you get it started, just make sure it goes on finger easy. It's not going on easy. It's probably cross-threaded. And as we mentioned before, that's got nothing to do but problems. Tighten it up. If the point is facing the hole where the screw needs to mount, then you're probably going to align your tie-down cap with it. I guess that's just a couple of years of experience knowing that, but that's what you want to do. All right, one more screw. We're going to give this reel a test, see how we did. All right, that cap is done. We can put a little bit of oil into the knobs. And let's review what we did. So we started with a reel that was dead sluggish and, well, just didn't move. It didn't feel good. We got the Boca bearing upgrade kit for the bearings. Those bearings included the 2 spool bearings and a center shaft bearing. We noticed that when we pushed this down, the spool hardly turned at all. The reel was sluggish. We took off our side plate. We showed you how to do a complete service on this. Also found that the spring that was part of the reset spring for the thumb bar was off the post. Interesting. So we reattached that. We showed you how to service the drag washers in it. Then we went over to the other side. We showed you the mechanical workings of that drag magnetic system. We replaced the bearing on the inner piece as well as the bearing inside of that mag case. We then reassembled it, put it back together. It's test time. Okay, beautiful reel. Let's go into free spool. Let's see if it made a difference. Oh, look at that. Where you couldn't move the spool at all now, with no effort at all, spins nice and free and easy. Let's make sure that it clicks back now. I'm just going to hold that spool for a minute. I want to make sure that I've tightened down my drag washers, which we have. What a performance. Look at this. So nice and easy. They do make a difference. I think that's what we're trying to see in the system and in the series. Do those hybrid bearings make a difference? They certainly do, both in the casting performance of the reel and just in the cranking ability overall. Nice reel. That's a way to keep a classic fishing for a long time to come. Many of you will ask, do I need to do it right away? No. But if you find that you have a reel that came in like the one that I have here, where the performance was terrible, where you couldn't cast it because the bushings that we upgraded, actually plastic bushings, had worn. And, well, replacing bushings with bearings most of the time is going to just eliminate a lot of the friction that's inside of the reel and will result in something that becomes just a nice casting reel overall. This one's ready to go fishing again. I can hardly wait to use it. Well, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you subscribe if you'd like to see more of these. Like the video if you if you enjoyed it. And before I leave, I want to thank our first responders, our police, fire, safety, rescue, EMT, everybody involved in keeping us out of harm's way. I truly do appreciate everything it is that you do and your dedication and to task and to career. And I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to encourage you to subscribe again. And if you see this series coming up, we're going to be working on others. We're going to be installing these bearings on lever drag reels, classics, and well, new reels as well. And we'll see how it makes the difference like it did in this one. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, wishing everybody a great day.